And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. On today's program, we're going to be making a fall meal. We're going to make taco soup. We're going to make a salad, an iceberg salad with a Mexican lime honey vinaigrette. Then we're going to make some pumpkin cupcakes with a homemade cream cheese frosting. It's going to be delicious. So we've got our oven for the cupcakes. We've preheated the oven to 350 degrees. So go ahead and start that part. I have a large stock pot on my stovetop. I'm going to preheat that to about medium-high heat. And we're going to, I've got about a little over a pound, maybe 1.25 pounds of ground sirloin. Now I'm using the ground sirloin today because really the meat and the beans in this soup are kind of the shining star. So I wanted to use like a ground sirloin. You could use sirloin or ground round in this. If you used anything less than ground round, which would be like the 15% fat content of your meat, you would need to brown the meat and then drain off the excess fat that comes from like chuck and the regular ground beef. So if you're going to use regular ground beef or ground chuck, brown it and then drain it before proceeding. But because I'm using ground sirloin, it's extremely lean, and so there will not be a lot of excess fat. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in the bottom of my pot just to keep it from sticking because it is very, very lean. So we want to put about a tablespoon or so, and then just put about 1.25 pounds of your ground sirloin in your pot and just kind of let that start browning off. Kind of break it up with your wooden spoon. Let me just get that going a little bit here. And then while that's starting to brown, what we will do is we're going to just dice an onion. Now this is one of those recipes that is perfect year-round. We love it. Now Wayne that works with us here, his wife makes a version of taco soup and she sends it up to us in a crock pot. So this is one of those meals that if you wanted to in the morning brown your beef and then add the rest of the ingredients in your crock pot and let it simmer all day long, dinner will be ready when you get home. But we're just going to do it in a soup pot today. To our ground sirloin, we're going to add 1 medium-sized, just regular yellow onion. We're going to dice it and add to it. Now taco soup has a lot of beans, a tomato, you know, different. I'm using 2 different kinds of tomatoes in my soup today, and just some spices and herbs and corn, and you really can customize it 20 different ways, whatever kind of mixture of beans that you wanted to add to it. We'll talk about that in just a minute. You could make it completely vegetarian if you wanted to and just not add the beef. You could make this just with a base of the beans and the tomatoes and it would be perfectly delicious. Maybe you don't eat, you know, meat. Maybe you're a vegetarian. You could make this for you too. Just leave out the meat. I'm using beef stock, but you could substitute vegetable stock or even some water in place of the stock if you wanted to, and make it vegetarian and it would be yummy. So we're just going to add the 1 medium diced onion. You could, you know, I see in the grocery stores real often now in the freezer department, you know, your pre-chopped up frozen onions. Soups are a wonderful place to use those products. Even in the produce department this morning when I was at the store, I saw lots of the little containers of pre-chopped up the pepper that I'm using, the onion that I'm using. You could, by all means, that'd make it even quicker. But we want to add our onion. I just add that in while it's browning, just to kind of let that get a start on sauteing up, because onions, when you saute them a little bit first, it brings out the natural sugars in onions and it makes them a little bit sweeter, and I love them that way. Just could saute celery and onions together like you start a stuffing. I saute celery and onion and just eat it. I love it like that. So let's turn our heat up just a little bit. This is a cast iron, enamel-coated cast iron pot, and it gets, you know, it retains the heat, but it takes it a while to get started. Now I'm going to show you a quick little way. You see what I did? See, this is the top. I'm going to the top of the pepper. If you'll turn your peppers upside down and take your knife and make a slit about halfway or so down, pull it apart, all of your little top stays in that one side, and your cleaning is a little bit easier. And then just tear that out, throw it away. It's just a quick little easy tip for you. Always remember to cut your green peppers. We're going to use one. This is a medium-sized green pepper. We're going to use one. Always cut your peppers from the inside out. Remember, you don't want, you see how easy my knife goes through this here? Well, if you turn it the other way, you've got that hard shell on the outside. It's a little harder to dice. So always cut your peppers from the inside where the fleshy part is, and it makes it much easier. I love green peppers. You could substitute a red pepper or a yellow pepper if you wanted to. It would be delicious that way. Or just use a green pepper, or if you don't like green pepper, you could leave it out. This is one of those things. The beautiful thing about soup is it's completely customizable to whatever you like. If you don't like a particular ingredient in it, just leave it out or substitute something else. Now, I'm one of those people, I'm a soup eater year-round. A lot of people think that it's got to be cold weather outside, or, you know, before you can have chilies and soups and things like that. Not me. I eat soup all the time. Let me move this over to here. I eat soup year-round. And this soup in particular, we've had, Wayne's wife makes it for us quite often and sends it up, and we eat it year-round. And so this is kind of a version of takeoff of hers. I've kind of made my own little twist on it. And we're just browning that up. You see how I'm going to pull that to the side? You see how there's just very, very little of the fat. What's in there is really off of the olive oil that I put in there, and that's why I'm using the ground round. It's just not as fatty of a meat, and it tastes yummy. We're going to add our green pepper to our pot and saute that just a little bit. Now, I'm going to add some pepper, some freshly ground pepper to this. I am not going to add any salt because the products that I'm using are full of sodium, are naturally full of the salt in the cans and in the spices that I'm going to use. This is a good way to, I just have told you before, I got used to cooking before with a low salt type attitude when my brother was facing some kidney issues, and my taste just got so adjusted to not having a lot of salt. But if you like your food salty, feel free to add about a teaspoon or so of salt at this point. I'm not going to, but maybe you like your foods quite salty, and you could add about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of salt, whatever your tastes run toward. Now, our ground beef has just browned up nicely. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, we're going to add the rest of the soup ingredients, and we're going to get started on our wonderful pumpkin cupcakes. We'll be right back with you in just a minute. Now, our ground round and our onions and our pepper have sauteed, so we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. I've got about 1 cup of frozen corn that I have just, kind of thawed a little bit. I'm using frozen. By all means, you could use fresh or canned if you wanted to, would be fine. I have 1 can of Great Northern beans that I have just kind of drained off the excess liquid from them. 1 can of the red kidney beans, 1 can of the black beans that you can buy anywhere you go, 1 can of the little small, if they'll show a shot of this one, I want to show you what this one is. In the grocery stores, how you see the tomatoes with the green chilies, this is what I'm talking about when I say diced tomatoes with your green chilies. Just 1 can of that undrained. Leave the juices in your chilies. Now, I like the chilies because it adds a little bit of heat. Now, if you've watched this program at all, you know that I really like spicy foods. So I'm going to add that. To that, we're going to add 1 can, if I can get it open here without breaking my nail, 1 can of a fire roasted diced tomato. You can find these everywhere now, and I love them because they are the fire roasted. They have that little charring on the skin, and that adds such a smoky, wonderful flavor. And my soup pot is going to be full. We're going to add 1 big can. This is your 28-ounce can of stewed tomatoes. We want to add the liquid and all. And get that kind of stirred up a little bit here. To that, we want to add some beef stock. Now, I just buy the boxed beef stock. I love the beef stocks in the boxes. Depending on how much soup you have, up to, you know, a cup, cup and a half, 2 cups, whatever it takes to kind of make it a brothier soup. Now, my soup is really kind of going to be very thick and full of, you know, lots of different veggies and beans, and this is an extremely healthy soup. You've got all those wonderful beans and the vegetables in there, and your lean ground sirloin, and your wonderful different, you know, the celery, or the green pepper, and the corn and the onion, and your tomatoes. It's just a very, very healthy meal for your family. I'm going to bring that to a simmer, and I may need to add a little bit more stock, and if you do, we'll talk about that in a minute. I've got about a teaspoon of ground cumin, one of my favorite little Mexican spices. Then, from one of the packages, the dried taco seasoning mix. This is why it's called taco soup. The dried taco seasoning mixes that you buy everywhere. We're going to add a couple of tablespoons. The reason that I did not add, well, I'm going to add the whole package because there's not that much in there. The reason that I didn't add salt, like I said before, is because that particular product has a lot of salt in it, as well as the other canned goods that I used. So I'm not adding any salt. Then, another little convenience item that you can buy in your salad dressing section is just the dried ranch salad dressing mix. We're going to add a couple of tablespoons of that dried ranch mix to our soup. And you know what? That's it. You stir it all together, bring it up to a simmer, and just let it simmer. The longer you let it go, of course, the better it's going to taste. Like I said, you could do all of this, put it in your crock pot, put it on low, let it simmer all day long, and then when you come home from work or wherever you go, your dinner is done. Your dinner is ready, and look how delicious and healthy that looks. So we're going to cover that up. I'm going to turn my heat down to a simmer, and we're just going to let that go while we finish up our dinner. Okay, now our soup is simmering away. We're going to make our pumpkin cupcakes. Now I have got about 3/4 of a can of the 15-ounce can of canned pumpkin. Please do not get the cans that say pumpkin pie mix. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the pumpkin, the pure pumpkin that you can get in the baking section of your grocery store. I'm using a spice cake mix today, but you could use, you know, a yellow cake mix, a butter cake mix, a white cake mix, you know, any of those would be fine. I just like the spice. I've got 1/3 of a cup of just regular canola oil, which is what I'm using. And then I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of half and half. You could use heavy cream. You could use milk if you wanted to. I just like the half and half. Then I'm going to add 4 eggs to our mixture here. Just 4 large eggs. Show you a little hint. A lot of people will take their eggs and they crack them on the side of their bowl. Do you know if you do that, you drive the little shards up in the egg and you're more likely to get shell in your egg. But if you will just tap it on the side of a flat surface, you're less likely to get shells in your egg. Here we go, 4 eggs. Then we're going to add to that I'm going to add about half a cup. Well, let's stir that up first. Just take your mixer, kind of beat that up, get that going. Depending on the humidity of the day, you know how when you bake, sometimes you might need to add a little bit more liquid depending on, you know, how humid the day is. Scrape down your sides. Let me get a wooden spoon here and scrape down the sides of my bowl. Now my boys would be just going crazy over this. They love to do this part when we're baking a cake. And I love to just use the cake mixes for this kind of thing. And they're quick, they're easy, and they're really good now. They're really moist and have a lot of different, you know, things added to them, and they're just convenient and good. Now, I've got about half a cup of pecan halves, but I don't want the whole halves. So if you will take your nuts, put them in a Ziploc bag, then take either a rolling pin, this is a meat mallet, anything you've got that you can just pound them out with, kind of shake it up. Another good thing to let your kids do if they're with you is to let them do this. They think it's a big deal. You want to kind of crush them up pretty fine. I love nuts. They're a heart-healthy thing for you to eat. Got about half a cup, and we just want to put them right in our mixture there and kind of stir that up. Mix those in to your batter. And doesn't that look good? I could just eat that just right there. Give me a spoon and I'm a happy camper. Okay? My kids would also be clamoring over who gets to lick the beater. I have got some just regular standard muffin tins here that I'm going to just put, I use a little scoop. You want to fill them about 3/4 of the way full, just like that, and then put them in a 350-degree oven. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm just going to finish filling up these muffin tins. When I come back, we're going to make the salad and the wonderful cream cheese icing to go on this. I'll be right back with you. Hi, and welcome back. Now our cupcakes are done, so let's make the cream cheese frosting. Now I have 1 block of just softened cream cheese in my bowl. I'm going to add about a half of a cup, I'll do this in stages because my little whisker, of just powdered sugar. I'm sifting this because this particular sugar was kind of lumpy, so let's get that sifted out there. Take your fingers if you need to. Best tools God ever gave us on the ends of your hands. This was kind of lumpy, so don't want that in my wonderful little cupcakes. About half a cup of just powdered sugar. And cream cheese. This is just a good, quick, homemade cream cheese frosting that is yummy. We're going to lighten it up just a little bit, though, because, you know, cream cheese can be a little bit heavy. I've got about a half of a teaspoon of, I'm just using just pumpkin pie spice. You can use a blend of cinnamon and cloves and whatever you want. And then I'm going to add, this is a fresh nutmeg, and I'm going to add just a couple of, I'd say about a 1/4 of a teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg. Nutmeg is one of those, oh, I wish you could smell that, one of those spices that you really, really do want to get the whole nutmeg and grate it yourself. It just tastes so much better. Then we're going to add about 4 ounces or so, about half of a container of just your frozen whipped topping that you can get anywhere. We're going to add about half of that container just to kind of lighten it up. And then we're going to mix all of that together. We might need to add a little more of our whipped topping. Yeah, I think I'm going to need just a little more of the whipped topping because I want a little bit lighter consistency for these particular cupcakes. So we'll add about another half of that half, so we'll add a 1/4 more. And just whip that together. until it is smooth on high. See how quick and easy just a homemade cream cheese frosting can be? You know, you can buy the pre-made up cream cheese frosting, but I really do prefer my cream cheese frosting homemade. I just think it tastes so much better. And just whip it up there. High as your mixer will go. You want a smooth consistency in your frosting. If you have a stand mixer, which I do, and why I didn't get it out, I don't know. You by all means could use your stand mixer. But you want this to be, as you can see, just a real creamy, light consistency. That's perfect. So there's our frosting. Let me take this out and then get one of our beautiful, couple of our little cupcakes. I use just cute little fall liners. And take your wonderful cream cheese frosting and just go over top of this. Oh, so good. You could use this same recipe if you wanted to and bake it in 2 8-inch round cake pans, and then use this frosting as the, in the middle of the cake. Put the one on the bottom and then put this in the middle and then drizzle over some chocolate or some caramel over top. Would be delicious. If you wanted to make a whole cake, you could do that. Or if you could do what I'm doing and just make pretty little cupcakes. Oh, I just want to eat one right now. Let's do a couple more of these. Yum. Delicious. Our soup is simmering away and it's basically done. Simmering, the longer you let it simmer, the better it's going to be. So there's our wonderful, wonderful little cupcakes. Now, let's take, I just bought some little sprinkles so that it would be pretty, some just little fall colored sprinkles. And we're just going to kind of go over the top of those just to make them pretty. This would be a wonderful thing to do with your children or your grandchildren and let them do this sprinkles, and you know how kids love to do this kind of stuff. Just want to add a few more here. How pretty they look. Like that. Just put some little sprinkles on top, or colored sugar would be pretty. Anything like that that you can, find in the stores. Now, let's make our salad. Now, we're going to just take a head of iceberg lettuce. Do you know how to do this? If you take the lettuce and you hit it really hard, turn it over, your core will come out. And the whole core just comes right out on your iceberg lettuce. We want to keep this in wedges. So take a knife, cut it, and then I'm going to cut it into 1/6 of a wedge per person, because I just happen to think that would be an awful lot of salad in one bite. So let's give this salad plate 2 wedges. Just lay it right on there. Just plain iceberg lettuce. Let's get this out of the way and we'll make the dressing. Clean up my workstation here. Now, you want to take a couple of limes. We're going to zest one of the limes into our bowl. Now, we made a dressing similar to this one for another salad, but this time we're just going to serve it of the wedges, the wonderful little crispy cold iceberg wedges. The soup is a little bit spicy, so you really do kind of need something to sort of tame the heat of the soup. That same lime, we want to juice it. If you will do what I did and just kind of, roll it on your cutting board, it really does help release some of the juices. We're going to juice 2. I only want the zest of 1, but I'm going to juice 2 limes. Real quick little salad dressing. Very easy and very good. That was a juicy lime. Take the juice of your limes. We want to add about, my bear's about gone, around, a fourth of a cup or so of just plain honey. Let me let him kind of settle down in there. Just add some honey, about a fourth of a cup or so, just to kind of mellow out the flavor there. Add just a pinch of salt, some freshly ground pepper, and then some olive oil. Whisk in about a fourth of a cup of olive oil. And that's it for your dressing. You could add, we'll add just a little bit of chopped up parsley just for some flavor. Chop some parsley. If you like cilantro, fresh cilantro, by all means you could add some cilantro to it instead of the parsley. Kind of tie in that Mexican theme. That would be delicious. Stir that in and just pour that straight over, a little bit of that dressing over your wonderful little iceberg lettuce wedges. Let's get some soup. Look how good that looks. Get some soup. You would want to serve this soup with some, I'm using tortilla chips today, just some wonderful plain tortilla chips. Maybe a little bit of cheddar cheese over top would be delicious. Just some cheese and then some wonderful little corn tortilla chips in your soup. And there you go. There's a wonderful fall feast for you. We've got taco soup. We've got our wonderful iceberg lettuce salad with our lime honey vinaigrette dressing and our beautiful little cupcakes. I hope you try these recipes, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Manna.
Thank you for watching Everyday Manna with Lisa. This program is made possible by viewers like you. Your support is continually needed to keep Christian programming on the air. Please send your best financial gift to Living Faith Television in care of Everyday Manna, P.O. Box 1867, Abingdon, Virginia 24212.